Hello. I'm going to have to read quite a bit off my paper because speaking in public is kind of not my forte. The situation that I'm presenting tonight is a mental health case. It was a deaf couple that I had worked with off and on for about 20 years. They were in and out of the mental health system, mostly in, and lived various places around town. I have reported on the female before, and this time is going to be the husband in the couple. Deaf, 40s, very tall and lanky, has cerebral palsy, slight cognitive developmental delay kind of abilities or disabilities. And the situation that builds up the end is the part of the story that I need to discuss, but the story needs to be told to begin with. So we did home visits a couple of times a week. There were 4 or 5 interpreters that did this, so we shared it, and I had been doing it quite a bit. The couple lived in an apartment in an area of town that wasn't ideal. They moved around a lot. They were frequently evicted from apartments for not paying. They had bed bugs, had to leave everything, and they would move and start over again. They had family situations where a daughter would find them, take advantage of them, take money, take a vehicle when they had broken down, almost useless vehicles, any amount of money, televisions, food out of the refrigerator. So they frequently moved to get away from all kind of demands that they faced in their own life. The male smoked. He was a chain smoker, and they lived off his SSI and SSDI. The wife is an illegal immigrant from Mexico and has not been able to gain citizenship yet. Social services, mental health, county agencies have worked with them for a very long time. They're very likable. When they're doing well and stable, mental health-wise, and physically, which there's a lot of chronic physical illnesses. They're both diabetic and several other things. The diabetes is not managed for either one of them. They have nursing services that go out. Anyway, all these agencies together have been able to secure free legal services for the wife in order to start the immigration process, which takes many, many years. In the best of circumstances, if you have money, it takes a long time. So here we are with a deaf couple, not able to really, and in this case it is absolutely advocacy. They don't know how to advocate for themselves. So everyone around them was doing the advocating, helping them, trying to teach them and enable them to do it. But there was some apathy there, and they got very used to people doing things for them. We know what that looks like, so people just kept doing things in order to try to make the situation better. So at the end of the day, all these services, including the free legal services, there was still going to be a fee that they needed to pay, which was, I think, around $900 at that time. This was several years ago. And there was matching funds. So if they could save half the money, there was a donor that was going to match the other half in order to pay for the paperwork that had to be done. That a lawyer, I don't know if they couldn't pay for it or wouldn't pay for it, but they'll give their free legal services. But when it came down to it, they needed to have some buy-in in the immigration process to get her citizenship. So for 3 years, Family Elder Care is an agency that can take guardianship over money, and Family Elder Care took in the SSDI and SSI every month, took out just a portion of it monthly, and the rest was for bills and cigarettes and for them to spend. And when they got too much, they did not spend it wisely, and there were no savings, so this fund had been put aside for them, and I believe it was about $450, $475 at the time. And the husband decided, they had just made a move to another apartment in the hood, that he wanted to become his own financial guardian. And at the end of the day, he was competent enough to do that, and Family Elder Care had to give him back the right to handle his money. with this money that had been set aside, it was in an account he did not have access to. He knew the money was there. He didn't know how much. This money had to come with the deal that he was going to be his financial guardian again. So on this day, the social worker and I were going to the apartment, and they were very fully aware of this. The wife was not going to go with us. At the time, she was not doing well physically. She had a lot of health problems that prevented her from leaving the apartment for long times. She could go out for short distances and come back, but we were going to go take the check for paying the immigration paperwork and go to a check cashing place, drive him over there. He was going to hand the check to the teller, get the cash for it with the ID that the social worker was holding, get back the cash. She would give him his ID, and he would give her the money that would go into an account that took 2 signatures in order to get it out, so that that money could not be used for anything else. For 3 years, it had been agreed upon that it was for the wife's to work on her immigration. By working on her immigration, then she can get SSI. She had free health services. Her medication was partially paid for. The mental health agency I work for subsidized the rest of it. The services are better than you or I would get, and they were all free, which is fine, other than not a lot of buy-in on the part of the couple to help themselves, we create that. I digress. So that day when we get there, the social worker and I pull up, and we're going to go in her car, and we walk in, and he's a chain smoker. I think I mentioned that. The apartment did not smell like smoke. I mean, he's known to, when he's running out of cigarettes, he gets extremely agitated when we've asked him not to smoke in the apartment. It's his apartment. He can smoke in it if he wants to. We've met outside. We've met at a park, different things, because we end up just smelling completely like we've been smoking for the rest of the day. And I've had changes of clothes in my car, but it doesn't help my hair. Anyway, we walked in, and he was not smoking. He was very happy. One of his diagnosis is depression, severe depression, not manic depressive. He never has the highs. He's just got the really severe lows. And he was pretty happy. Okay, this is good. And so he suggests that we walk. And we thought, okay, I can't remember what month it was. It was a nice day. The 3 of us can walk over there. Didn't know exactly where it was, but I assumed it was close enough that walking was an option. His cerebral palsy, his gait was very off. He lost his balance and fell frequently, which was embarrassing. People often ask him, hearing people thought he was drunk because of the way he kind of rambled when he walked. So I was surprised. Not really red flags in the beginning. In hindsight, many were. So we head out. He's got the check. She hands him the ID. So he's got the check and his ID. So we're talking and we're walking, and I'm the only one that can communicate. So I'm signing between them and just chit-chat, and him and I are chatting, and then they're chatting. And then we're walking in silence, and I realize that we're in a parking lot. It's kind of a cracked parking lot. The buildings that are on either side of us are empty. And I can't really see where we're going. About the time I turn around to talk to the social worker about that, she's also looking around, and I notice that he has gotten pretty far in front of us. I'm the only one that can communicate, so I hustle up there and tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, can you come back with us? Can you walk with us when we don't know where we're going? And he kind of smirked, and he turned around and put his head down and just walked faster. So we're kind of hoofing it to follow him. We're not running, we're just walking fast, and we're talking, and I wonder what he's doing. Is this a back way? He knows where he's going. He uses this check cashing place all the time. And we get to an intersection, an area where there's an alley, there's some other shopping, and then there's a major road over here. He turns around one more time and looks at us and takes off running. He's got the check, he's got the ID. They've been saving this for 3 years. We kick into overdrive. We look at each other and we both start hauling it. We are running through part of the alleyway onto the shopping center, and see him go straight running across the streets like 4 lanes without the crosswalk saying that he can run. So there were no cars that even came close to hitting him. I don't know how, but people maneuvered. He hauled it across the street. We get stopped at the light. We can see him running up a little hill towards an apartment complex. As soon as we could, we're running across the street. We're out of breath. We can't believe this is happening. We're chasing him down. He completely bypasses. We see the check cashing store to our right, and we lose him in an apartment complex. And that's that. The end of the story is he was missing in action for about 5 days when he finally showed back up at the apartment, and the wife is helpless enough, not incapable, but helpless enough that she doesn't cook her own meals. When she wants water, he gets her a glass of water and brings it to her. So people were over there kind of constantly between the different agencies and looking for him. No cell phones, no anything like that, so they can't communicate with each other. At day 5, the end of day 5, he shows up with cartons of cigarettes, cases of Coke, no more money, a few little bling things for her, shirt with some rhinestones on it and some kind of necklace. I wasn't there when that happened. And he'd spent all the immigration money. It was gone. So my question is, well, my questions are, wow, I missed a lot. I knew them for 20 years, and I missed so many things. When we walked in and he wasn't smoking, when we saw him and he was happy, we were so pleased, it didn't strike me as odd because he's not that person. When he suggested we walk, and with the cerebral palsy, and I thought it was odd, but why not? We can walk over there. When I saw him run, I was stunned. I had no idea that not only does he not walk well, but that he could run like the dickens. I couldn't believe how fast he ran. That he'd been given the ID, so now he had both, and it was supposed to be the exchange when we got to the check cashing place. I feel like I missed so much. I'm the one that knows nonverbal cues. I'm the one that knew them. And the social worker did too, and we hashed it and rehashed it and hashed it. We chased him. We chased a grown man, 2 adult women, in a not very good part of town, across streets and in part of an alley, and I'm not really sure what I would do differently, but I didn't have time to think about it. So let me look at my questions. You know, my sense of judgment, my sense of good judgment was completely absent that day, evidently. What controls could I have used that would have been more conservative? Because chasing a grown man down the street trying to get a check back is pretty liberal. Instead of just letting him go, calling it a day, going back to the apartment and waiting, maybe calling a mental health deputy. I don't know if that could help, but I don't know who could have found him. He obviously had a plan, knew where he was going, played us very well, and it worked in his favor. And the money they'd been saving for 3 years was gone, which was heartbreaking. And that part I can't control. I wish I could, but I can't. I just missed so much. There were hints from the beginning. What could I have done differently? What role did I play? You know, I expected some intrapersonal things to happen, because I know I don't like to go in there when they're smoking. I know I don't like to go in there when they haven't bathed, but I do it. I know that sometimes I'm going to run into bed bugs. All those pre-controls, I knew. Those were known. The day just didn't work out like we thought. I'd love your feedback.